Welcome to Virgil's Studio. Today we're going to take a behind the scenes look on my latest song called Just Don't Care. You're going to hear a cappella versions of this. There's going to be all neat things. We're going to dig in. I'm going to show you how I wrote the song. Come on in. It's going to be awesome. That's how the song started. I was messing around with the piano one day last summer, during the pandemic, holed up in the house here, and I just started digging into the piano, started learning piano. I don't know much more today than I did last year, but I'm digging around. I'm finding my way. But you know what? It ended up being the inspiration for this song. And the song basically just goes from a C, right, to an E minor. Then it goes to an F major, and then G major, and then back to the C. So it was all started on the piano. And what was interesting was last year I was a little bit more hokey with the piano. I was actually using, I think, piano chords that Cubase does. It does this whole chord pads thing. So you can go into here and you can see how it's just doing chord pads. I don't have this set up, so I guess and it was kind of like that. So, and it was just weird, right? And I left it in there because when you're writing songs, a lot of times at the beginning it's just like a sketch pad, right? So you're just kind of like, you're just putting little things together, and then you never really have this huge epic song on day one. Although there were some ideas I had with the song on day one, I just kind of put these chords together, and then the ending, or the chorus of the song, the chorus of the song ends up just being, I believe it's just A minor. So we're just going to go from A minor, and then it just goes A minor, G, then F, back to G. So it's just it's your common one. So which are the same chords at the ending of Stairway to Heaven. It's Evil Woman from ELO. This is just really common stuff, and what really differentiates songs from other songs ends up really being the melody that you're putting on top of there, and the lyrics, of course. So in this case, I had written the song out maybe in an hour. I had the whole structure and ideas for the song within an hour. It took a year to finish the song because all these different things happened. I eventually replaced that piano out. I replaced the guitars out several times. And I kept on replacing things out, just trying to step up to the plate a little bit better. And when you start replacing tracks, then all of a sudden they start sounding kind of cool. One of the more recent things that I had done right before, like within the last week or two of finishing the song, was replacing the piano out. So I just have this one little piano. Another thing that had happened in the song early on was bringing in the guitar. Now, years ago, I ended up, I was in a band back in the 80s. I was actually in a Motown band back in the 80s. So I just heard, this kind of Motown guitar, and that's why it says Motown guitar here. So there's this rhythm guitar going that's just like boom, chick, chick. I was like, and being in the Motown band, boy, do you start getting good at that rhythm. So that guitar sound like this. So that with the piano didn't sound too bad, man. I started putting some things together, and all of a sudden it sounded kind of not too bad, man, all together, you know. And that gave me my foundation for the song, really. And I started singing on here. I have an older version of me singing on here. I don't know if I'm going to sneak this in right now. And if I did sneak it in, that was me singing this song originally. I guess it's one of those things where I'm not a huge fan of my own voice, so I pulled in a good friend of mine, Chad Spikes, to sing the song. And with his voice in there, it just really sounded great. And Chad just he just brought this other he just brought another level to the song on there. And this is just him with the guitar track and the piano there, so you'll hear him singing.
I don't know why you do those things. It's really like you just don't care. And
the next thing is I brought in my wife's and my vocals, because I had done backup vocals originally for this track. So I brought in my wife and I, and then my friend Leah Clark, she came in and she did her vocals as well. So it was kind of nice having those backup vocals in there too. So I'm going to do all these solo here so you can just hear the vocals that are coming in there. Let's see. So we're going to go right here. So then we're going to move it up just a little bit so you can hear the backup vocals coming in.
it's really like you just don't care. And
now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute out these other instruments just so you could hear the voices here, right?
it's really like you just don't care. And I don't know what to say to you. I'm feeling 10,000 miles away. Running away, child. Nowhere to go. You always say, girl, that you don't know.
And that's what it sounds like just with the vocals in there, which is always that's always fun to just kind of listen to that stuff, right? The next thing that started really becoming clear to me is I actually had this one section in there where I was really trying to think of what do I do in this one spot. So it ended up being a suggestion from my sister Missy, just genius idea to bring in a rapper, and the rapper friend of mine is Prime Dinero. So I had Prime actually come in, and he did backup or he did not backup vocals. He went and did the rap on here, so that was really neat. And I kept on reworking this section too, because again, it ends up being this instrumentation where you're just trying to get it just right in there, you know. And this is the section with Prime. I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to solo out some of the instruments in here, okay? So let's see, that was never used on there, so I'm going to bring that down to like nothing. Let's go listen to this. Let's pull in, this is a synth that I have in here. What else do I got going here? Patrick, the bass player, is in here. Let's listen to some of these things. And I just have, these are little drums and loops and stuff like that I have going in this section. And that's basically what was going on with the rap part there. And I have his, we have his rap doubled, and then we also have a tail track in here. So he's coming in with that too. So you'll hear these.
They say pain is pleasure, but don't take it in vain. Too much pain and pleasure only drive you insane. I know you not the same, that one in the picture frame. The more you wanna change, the more you stay the same. It's me, not you. No, it's you, not me. Everybody.
And it's kind of funny because I brought in things. You'll see halfway through here, I got this rhythm guitar coming back in, right? So you'll have that coming in right there. You could hear that. That's why I just unmuted that, and you can hear all the little tiny things. I have the orchestra ends up coming back in too. So all of a sudden, and let's get this, so it's in there too, so you hear this.
Not you, no it's you, not me. Everybody else to blame, that's just how it's gonna be. And it's evident to me, you ain't never gonna change. Cause you don't care, girl, and now I'm feeling the same. Whoa.
And, you know, it was... There's a lot of little decisions that happen along the way, and this song is just all about layering stuff. Just kept on going with layers, and let's get some strings in here. Let's add this. Let's add these drum tracks, and it is really loaded with tracks. I think with the separate drum tracks, which end up somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 drum tracks, and then we have basically 70 something tracks here. So we're looking at probably over 80 tracks in total, this song. And it ends up just really being a beast. Trying to, you know, just get all of that stuff just so everything's working on there, you know. Let's see. I think next I'm going to, I'll basically explain this. Along the route, I just kept on going, well, I want to replace this out. I want to get a real person in here to replace out this instrument. A lot of things were done electronically. So that means I was doing, you know, it was pretty much the computer is doing this stuff and then that stuff. I did most stuff on the keyboards myself. So, excuse me, any instrumentation that I was doing in here was done on the keyboard. So whether it be the strings or the orchestra or whatever. And then I had there's several guitars in here too. I had a different guitar that was happening like on the chorus. You know, there's a strumming guitar that happens right after the Motown guitar. You could hear this. So, and they're a little bit different than each other. These are all things that you really don't hear a whole bunch in the mix, but it ends up just being part different little subtleties to the song. Next, we're going to go into this bridge section. And the whole song, like I keep on saying, it's just layering and layering and layering. I wound up with a total of just, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 something tracks. And with all of that layering, it was building up. You know, this crescendo going and happening. It's just like, man, it's getting busy. And what a great time to come in with a bridge that's just relaxed and just it kind of lets you breathe for a little bit. And it's just very nice when it gets into there. So this second chorus here, which is right after the rap, builds up into coming into here with the acoustic guitar and piano. It sounds like this.
Someplace long ago in a photograph. The time.
So it's just really nice because it just kind of mellows out here. It gives us a little breather, right? And as you're in there with the vocals just sounded just really lovely over in here. I'm gonna do these. Let's see. I want to just do some solos of these vocals here. And we're going to just do all the backup vocals, I guess. Is there, yeah, here, let's do it this way. We're going to just solo out the vocals section. Imagine that.
Someplace long ago in a photograph, the times we didn't even care about.
So what I want to do in here, and this is a little cool. It's odd. I guess it was just my idea to do it this way. Was I kept this reverb on Chad's voice, but I brought all the backup vocals into like this really closed, tight space. I did that just for the sense of you feeling like, wow, this is like really close and intimate here, so you could hear that. And that's why that's going on there, if any of those of you who caught that already. And that's all I'm doing. It's nothing that epic, you know.
In a photograph, the times we didn't even care about anything, wild abandoned, all now shattered on this floor. There's no more to say, girl.
Crazy thing is,
As if you would know.
And this is the ending of the song, which this is why this song took me forever to do, because I had these really big plans for this song. I wanted to get this big epic string section at the at the ending of the song. And I wanted those strings to be like almost like this cashmere feel from Led Zeppelin, you know, where it just bash in your face, man. It's just like it's jamming. And the problem is everything was turning to mud. And the reason why it was turning to mud is I had to go on a little bit of a side journey last year with digging deeper into learning compression more and EQ and all of that stuff. And I finally cracked the code along my journey of being able to get this ending section going. And the strings are really epic at the end, but we also have all of these other instruments coming in. So we've got strings, we've got there's brass coming in, there's all sorts of, there's woodwinds and brass and strings, and it just ends up being a lot of stuff right at the very end. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to play the orchestra at the end. So let's just do the orchestration so you can hear this at the end. And this is it coming in towards the end of this is right, yep, here it comes right around here. And to mix that in with everything else and not have it sound like mush was quite a challenge to get that in there, you know?
Anything wild abandoned, all now shattered on this floor. There's no more to say, girl.
crazy thing is,
As if you would know.
nobody wins.
Going away, girl.
We're going to talk about the drummer now. Oh, this drummer I had. Just amazing drummer from Texas. That's where these drums were recorded, in Texas. Who would have thought, right? The Lone Star State. I had the drummer for ZZ Top do them on there. Actually, this ends up being Superior Drummer, Death and Darkness, it's called. It's like this death metal kit. But what was funny was, as I was digging through a lot of these sampled drums, because I was unable to get the drummer that I wanted on the song. He was just caught up with too many commitments, and it was going to take like forever and a Sunday for him to do them. So there was a couple other drummers, one that I knew personally, that is just basically doing drums this way now. I don't know what the world's coming to. I guess the virtual guitars are there too. I haven't used any of those yet, so we'll see. But I ended up using this. So this Death and Darkness kit is really cool because there's one recording of all these drums that are done over in Denmark in somebody's house in their pool in their house. empty pool. And then the other one is these several kits that were recorded in the studio in Texas. You can look that up. It's excuse me. It's if you go to tunetrack.com, you'll find Superior Drummer. It's got Easy Drummer. These are different drums I've been using for years, and I even have drummers going, who's your drummer on here? So that ended up being the drums that I used on here. And it wasn't like I was looking for death metal drums. It was just through a lot of investigation, I found out that there's a lot of studios that are actually using these kits for all different types of music. I mean, what is a death metal snare compared to a pop snare? I mean, come on. So that's what I ended up using in here. And the drums just sound, they just sound fantastic in here. And it's nothing that I was sitting there going, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this in here. And what happened was I ended up giving them a really big reverb at the end of the song. And that's actually one of the solutions that really helped with the ending of the song. It was able to kind of like separate things because everything else doesn't have a huge reverb to it, but the drums do. So when you hear the drums coming in here, for instance, it's got somewhat of a reverb on here, but this reverb comes in. You can see this. This is automated right here, so you can see this coming in. And this is trying to remember. It's the Valhalla Room Reverb. That's what it is. So when we go to, let me hit this over here. Give me a second. Yes, this is the Valhalla Room Reverb that I have going in here. And it comes in right here. You can see it coming up and then it shuts down as soon as it goes back. So just for that one spot, it's going to come in there. So you'll hear these coming in and then they're just definitely get heavy. So definitely a definite difference between this over here into this one here. I mean, it sounds like it's in Madison Square Garden, but I noticed when I had done that, it had just really made this great difference in between the drums and everything else, and everything fit. So if everything fits, there's not a lot you're going to be able to argue about. I know everybody's got their own set of ears, and there's going to be people complaining about this. There's going to be people, tipping their hat to it, and then other people vomiting. So it doesn't matter. It's we all just have our own way of doing things along the journey, right? And then then these drums kind of fade out from that right at the end when it comes back to the regular kind of Motown feel of the song. So it goes from here. So that's nice. You could hear that big change in there, and that works with the song too. So as you're hearing the song, you'll hear that happening.
Imagine what could be.
And it brings it back there. So I'm sure everybody's looking at the tracks here and they're going, a gunshot. There's a gunshot in here? And there is, because I was looking for something really snappy. Chad and I were actually talking about this one spot in the song where this snare hits. This is really well crafted. I mean, we didn't do this this section wasn't done in a day or two. It took a little while just doing these things and then listening to it and saying, hey, let's do this, let's do that. So you will hear the Superior Drummer is hitting this, and I made this as a separate entity, sampled it, and then I gave it a little bit of its own effects on here. So you could hear this going in here. So this is just when they go, all shattered on this floor. So you'll hear that right in there, and that's where this is happening, this gunshot and Superior Drummer, where I just had the sample of that. So it sounds like this.
Anything wild abandoned, all now shattered on this floor. There's no more to-
And then, of course, you hear the chimes. So just the drums alone are just giving this feeling of this picture frame just being thrown on the floor, man. That's really what it's the vision that I saw when I was writing the song. It's just there's a lot of visual things that we're trying to get out of the music itself here. So what I ended up doing was I ended up overlaying a gunshot on here because it just had that sound that just, it was real close to a snare. So when you hear this compared to the snare, and I'll zoom in on this a little bit so we can see these in here, and I'm gonna solo the snare so you hear this. So that ends up being the drum snare, and then here's the gunshot. And it just doesn't sit there with this long echo or anything. But together, they sound pretty cool. So overlaid. And then the drum ended up being the one that was really taking this reverb. I believe we ended up using a gated reverb there, which sounded just good on there. And with the mix with everything else, it fit right in there, you know. And again, these are little things that nobody really thinks about with the song, but they're little tiny pieces of stuff that gets put together as you're doing a song like this. So anyways, that's pretty much the song broken out into all the different things, man. I have all these, like, there's little synthesizers and everything that's running through here. You know, when you listen to this, I'm going to solo some of these synths. Here's an FM8 synth. And you can kind of hear this within the song, but this is real subtle stuff, man. You know, you listen to bands like Pink Floyd, they were like the kings of being able to take these little subtleties that were playing in the background, and then just kind of mix it in there. And I remember listening to I was watching a DVD on Pink Floyd. They were talking about how they did layer, most of their stuff is all layered with this, and it's one of those things where not people just don't notice that it's there, but they would notice if it was missing. And that ends up being kind of like on this song with some of these things, you know, where you're just kind of hearing these little synths here. Here's Omnisphere. I guess we got Omnisphere and Diva working right here. So we'll listen to these guys, see what we got going. And again, it's not like stuff that you're really used to hearing with the song. So that and the rhythm guitar would be. Just kind of cool, man. Everything comes together eventually, you know. And then you get some pianos in there too. And Patrick on his bass. You'll hear that it's not perfect, and I love that. That's the magic of this. Even though I'm doing a lot of computer-based stuff, some of the stuff is actually perfectly syncopated, but other things aren't. So that gives it just more of this human touch that's within there, you know? None of this is going to be perfect as you're listening. Here's some percussions with it. And then here's the drums. And it just ends up being fun to layer these things and then just kind of check the levels. Hey, I want to put a little bit of this in there, a little bit of that in there. Everything that was placed in here was strategically placed. Nothing was like Taco Bell filler where I just said, well, I got to get some more stuff in here. It never really ended up being that. It ended up being, you know, everything has its own purpose within the song. So thanks so much for watching. That was the song. And be sure to check out the tune. Don't forget to subscribe. It's right over here. So you can subscribe. And then you could even download the tune. Check out the links below so you could download the song. It's available all over the place, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, and thanks for watching.